All right, lesson 1.2 is order of operations. Now, the order in which you perform operations can affect the value of an expression. And to avoid confusion, mathematicians have agreed upon a common order for performing operations to evaluate expressions. Now, whenever we say the word evaluate, you have to know when you evaluate, you are basically breaking down the expression to a single numerical value. Okay. Now, with order of operations, you've probably done this before and heard of PEMDAS. And on top of PEMDAS, you've probably heard, please excuse my dear Aunt Sally. Now, when I hear please excuse my dear Aunt Sally, I like to put a hillbilly twang to it a little bit, such as please excuse my dear, right, Aunt Sally. And the reason is multiplication or division. It doesn't go, you do all your multiplication and then you do all your division. It's you do whatever comes first. So if division comes first, you stop and do that. If multiplication comes first, you stop and do that. So the order in which we perform operations is we do whatever in the parentheses. Now, we go to the parentheses, we evaluate it down to a numerical expression, numerical value, using correct order of operations. Once parentheses are completed, then we move on to exponents. Then we do the multiplication or division, whichever comes first from left to right, and then addition or subtraction, whichever comes first from left to right. So let's hit a couple of examples up here. Okay, so in example 1 here, obviously there's no parentheses, so we're good there. As I look, there's no exponents, so we're good there. So as I scan from left to right, we have addition, then we have division. I must stop and do this division. So when I do that, I bring down the 4 plus, what is 15 divided by 3 going to give me? 5. Now I have one last operation to do here, and this expression will simplify to 9. Okay, this is very important in all of mathematics because it helps us solve equations also. Now example 2. Okay, as I scan from left to right, I see no parentheses and I see no exponents. So I'm on to multiplication or division. And as I scan from left to right, I see I have multiplication right away. So I'm going to stop and do that. Now I can continue writing the expression out, right? But since this division is separated by subtraction, I could actually stop and do that. So now I scan this from left to right, and I see I have 8 divided by 4. So I have 15 minus, I'm going to put what I get for this answer here. 8 divided by 4 is 2. Then I bring down the plus 6. Now I'm down to addition and subtraction. So I'm going to stop. 15 minus 2 is 13. 13 plus 6 is 19. Okay. So you kind of have to follow this order. Okay, so what I want you to do is I want you to pause the video, do the 2 you try problems, and then come back and check your answer. All right, let's take a look at you try number 1. As I scan from left to right, no parentheses or exponents. So I stop, I do the multiplication. But because I have addition separated into 2, I can actually do both operations at one time. 1 times 2 is 2. Plus 6 divided by 3 is 2. And now I can do the addition and subtraction. 4 minus 2 is 2, plus 2, which is 4. You try number 2. I scan. Now, notice this multiplication. I have to stop and do this, then go to the division. All right. So 5 plus 6 times 4 is 24. Divided by 3 minus 1. Now I can stop, do the 24 divided by 3. 5 plus 8 minus 1. Now the addition and subtraction. 13 minus 1 is 12. All right. Now example 4. when you look at it, you have a fraction here. Anytime you have a fraction, always simplify that first. And all you're basically doing is simplifying the numerator, simplify the denominator, and then divide. So right now I'm going to bring this 1 down. When I do 10 minus 2, I get 8 over 4. And remember, all fractions are division problems. 8 divided by 4 is 2. 1 plus 2 is 3. Okay? Example 5. I notice I have parentheses here, so I have to stop. Although it's subtraction and I see multiplication here, I must do what's in the parentheses first. 15 minus 9 is 6. Now I have two sets of multiplication here. Technically, multiplication is commutative. The order in which you multiply doesn't matter, but I like to get in the habit of going left to right. So 2 times 6 is 12. And then 12 times 9 is 108, I believe. Okay. Example 6. So notice these brackets. They are square brackets, not round brackets. And they're no different than round brackets. The only reason they use square is so you know when you open this one, this closes it. This round one opens, this round one closes it. So in this case, we're going to simplify this quantity is what's in the parentheses first. So we would do 2 plus 6 times 8, which is 48. Now I have to evaluate what's in the parentheses. That's going to give you 50. And 50 minus 1 is 49. So now, what I want you to do is pause the video, do the you try number 1 and the you try number 2, and then come back and check your answers. Okay? So you try number 1. I have parentheses, multiplication, division. I have a bunch of things in here. So what are we going to do here? Well, first thing we're going to do is what's in the parentheses. So we're going to bring down the 12 divided by 3 minus 2. Remember, that's in the parentheses, so we have to do it first. 3 minus 2 is 1. Now I can jump to this division. 12 divided by 1 is 12. 12 plus 1 is 13. You try number 2. I see I have brackets here, so I'm going to simplify what's in here using correct order of operations. So it's 2 times 8 plus what's in the parentheses here. 5 minus 3 is 2. 8 plus 2 now is 10. 2 times 10 minus 8 will give me 20 minus 8, which is 12. So again, I went from parentheses, right, to outside the parentheses using correct order of operations. All right, a couple of other things here. We're going to talk about inequalities, equal signs, and so on. Remember, with the inequalities, when you see this, the bigger number is on the left, small number would be on the right in order to make this a true statement. We say the bigger number is greater than the smaller number. Okay, when we look at this sign, in order to make this true, small number is on the left, the big number is on the right. So we would read this as the small number is less than the bigger number. And remember, picture is being an alligator. Alligator always eats the bigger number. But this means greater than. This means less than. And then we obviously know this is equal to. So it says comparing the value of expressions. Place a greater than symbol, a less than symbol, or equal sign to complete each statement. So what we have to do is, if you see this, all the same numbers are here, but one expression may be greater than, less than, or equal to the other. So we're going to evaluate this side, completing the correct order of operations. 15 times 3 is 45. 45 minus 2 will give me 43. So this expression is equivalent to 43. This one, I would do 15 times 3 times 2 is 6. And now 15 times 6 is 90. So which expression is bigger? 90. So the alligator should be eating that. So 43 is less than 90. Okay? Let's do another. When I complete the order of operations, no parentheses, no exponents, so I'll stop due to division. 8 plus 12 divided by 4 is 3, and 8 plus 3 is 11. Over here, I have to do parentheses first. Okay? Common mistake here is people want to do 12 divided by 4, get 3, and do 8 plus 3 is 11, and put an equal sign here. But if I stop doing the parentheses, 20 divided by 4 is now 5. It's a big difference. So 11 is bigger than 5, so the alligator must eat 11. Now what I want you to do is pause the video, and I want you to go and try the you try problem, and then come back and check it. So 22 minus, in this case, we're going to do 22 minus 14, which will give us 8. And here I'm going to do parentheses first. 22 minus 7 is 15. 15 times 2 is 30. So what happens is 8 is less than 30. Now the next one. Insert grouping symbols to make the number sentence true. These are pretty easy expressions. That was nice to you, right? But it's important to understand how to use the grouping symbols, such as when we say grouping symbols, we mean round parentheses, brackets, so on. So where could we put them so that the left side would equal 66? Well, I see a 6 here in a multiplication symbol. What times 6 would give me 66? 11. Now, if I complete the order of operations the way it is, it would be 7 plus 24, which is 31, but we want it to equal 66. Well, what can we do to make this 7 plus 4 get done first? We can put parentheses around it. Now, that would be 11 times 6, which would give me 66. Okay? So let's look at the next one. It's a little more difficult. We need this left side to equal 17. All right? So what could we do here? Okay, well, 7 times there's no number really that'll give you 17 by multiplying by 17. So what could we do, right? Where could we put the grouping symbol? Well, what could we add to 3, right, to make this happen? Well, we know 14 plus 3 is going to give you 17. So if I look at this, I know I see a 7, and it has something in relation with 14, and it's multiplication. So is there any way I can make this 7 times 2? Well, if I put the grouping symbols here, that tells me is that using an order of operations, 8 minus 6 would be 2. 7 times 2 is 14. 14 plus 3 would be 17. Okay, I want you to do the you try and then come back and see where it is. To get 45, what would we do? Right? If I look, I know 9 times 5, right, would give me 45. So is there any way I can make this part equal 9? Well, 3 plus 11, or 3 plus 8 is 11. 11 minus 2, remember, I have to make sure I put correct order of operations would do negative 2 times 10 here, or times 5 first. So what could I do? I'm going to put parentheses around this to make sure that whole thing gets simplified, because that would be 9. 9 times 5 is 45. So grouping symbols would be here and here. Okay, so what you're going to do now is the reteaching. Then you're going to go check your answers, and then you're going to work on the practice and text me those. All right. Have a good day, and be nice to your siblings.